Hello and welcome back,
welcome.
Evan and Freddie Talk Survivor.
Another week, another episode, and more stuff to talk about, which should be a bit interesting because I think we both have very interesting comments about this
Very strong
week.
opinions.
Yeah,
and
I think we're going to try and make the episodes shorter now as well for anyone that sort of was a bit iffy on the length last time.
Yeah, biggest feedback from last episode was, man, I don't want to listen to an hour and 40 of you guys talk, so
I think what we're going to do now is, I think what we did last time was recap each episode in depth, but I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to just sort of talk about what we're thinking about, what our minds are on.
Yeah, I mean, for the analysis to make sense, I guess we got to assume that you've already seen the video, not the video, the episodes,
the Survivor. And I don't think anyone's listening to this without having watched Survivor. And if you are, I don't think you're expecting to understand all of it. But
so no need to recap. It's a bit redundant.
Yeah, because I think this week we do have some big things to talk about, because I know both of us were a bit iffy on this week. So where would you like to start for us?
I mean, if we're starting with the iffy stuff, let's just get right to it and talk about the insane amount of idols. We had 3 episodes this week and 4 idols found.
No, 4 idols, yeah. That brings it to 6 episodes in the season so far. 6 idols, or advantages, because George's first one was an advantage. But look, it practically acted as an idol. So
practically. But yeah, still, kind of ridiculous that we had more idols than episodes this week.
It's just
and the fact that 2 of
stupid.
Two of them weren't played as hidden immunity idols, which is, I guess, the biggest part of them, the fact that they're hidden.
So should we knock off each idol that was found this week? Because
okay. So George's first one, I don't mind that. That was fairly smart because Baden legitimately found a clue.
Yeah.
And then George had the initiative to follow Baden.
But also, was he ever actually following Baden? Because what the editing makes it look like he just sort of appeared there with Wei.
I mean, I think, look, I don't know what the editing and the confessionals really mean, but I think from what I gathered is that he saw Baden looking a little suspicious when he was tailing him. So I think George then tailed Baden to the Billabong and then, saw him looking around and decided to have a little look for himself.
Yeah. But again, we've already seen George. What's this? This is his 3rd idol overall now. Or advantage.
George.
Oh no, sorry, no, not George.
This is his second.
This is his second, but he sort of does have 3 by the end of the week because we saw Kara play hers for George. But look, I still think it's an issue of too many idols, and I guess Baden finding the clue is good, but I just wonder how did George end up there specifically? Because, again, the editing doesn't show what happens. He could have been following Baden. But from the editing, it looks like when Baden walks in, George is already there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe George could have already been there, and then he saw Baden kind of looking, and then was like, hold on.
Oh, no, he definitely spotted Baden. He definitely spotted Baden, but, in the editing, it already looked like George was there before Baden got there.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it just feels a bit slimy to me, a bit iffy.
I mean, the fact that it was George that got it is a bit suspicious because of anyone that the producers are going to save with an idol, it's going to be George, right?
It's George.
Because,
or Twists.
Yeah, George is just
the
most marketable, player, I think, and they want him to stay as long as they can because... Oh, okay, my mind's changed a little bit about it. I did initially say that he was entertaining to watch. My opinion this week has kind of changed, but I'll get to that later. I don't like him anymore. Well, I never liked him as a person. I don't like watching him anymore. I don't think he's good.
Because I think we can fill a whole segment with George at this point, but we'll keep it to the idols for now.
So then I guess that's all there really is to say. Unless we want to talk about how he played it.
Well, the
way he played it was kind of baller. It was stupid, but that was fucking baller, right?
It was a bold play, and he knew he was on the outs regardless of what he did. So he was just trying to have add a bit of spice to the tribal.
Maybe, but here's the thing that confuses me is that, you know, the only reason you do that is to sort of save your idol, but he ended up playing it anyway, so if he was going to play it anyway, he may as well have just kept it hidden, because now he just looks like even more of a dickhead to the rest of the tribe than he already did just by doing that. Because, well, it would have worked if he didn't play it, because then the fact that he showed everyone that he has one, it plants the seed of doubt in their mind, you know, is he going to play it or is he not? And, you know, the only vote on George that night ended up being Mitch's vote, and he would have been totally safe if he didn't play it. But he still played it to be safe, so the baller move really wasn't necessary.
Yeah, and I think what we saw with the baller move, it reminded me of Russell Haynes, Season 3.
Yeah.
It reminded me so heavily, and I went back and watched that moment again. I wanted to go back and watch it again, because I love that moment. And I showed it to a friend because they were watching it with me. And I wanted to show him because he's gotten into Survivor now a lot more. And just watching that moment back is so funny. Because he's just like, nah, I'm not going to play it. And then it goes like, I don't know, like 3 other people got votes before it just went, Russell, you're gone.
Yeah.
It was like, so funny. But it reminded me of that. And I don't think that was George's intentions. I doubt he's ever seen this show before. But,
well, no. Did you not hear his little, like, thing in the, what was it, Tuesday night's episode? He was like, I've been watching this since I was 10.
Has he? I didn't.
Well, that's what he said. He said that. He said that. He's like, I've been watching this show since I was 10. It's a dream of mine to be here, and I don't want to go. That's why he was getting all, like, emotional. But then he changes. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think a lot of our George discussion can be held a bit until a little later. Because we got to Monday's episode, right? 2 idols within half an hour. Both to Simon. And look, I understand the second idol that was hidden in the reward. Look, it wouldn't have necessarily gone to Simon, right? But still, it's 2 idols in 1 episode. That is way too much, way too heavy. It just makes no sense.
Here's my issue with... I guess it seems to be just a moving trend in Survivor nowadays anyway, and that's the fact that idols can be found without clues because they just seem to be so poorly hidden. We've only seen 1 idol out of the 5 hidden immunity... Is it 5? Yeah, 5 hidden immunity idols that we've seen. No.
It's 5.
Kez's was a clue as well. But still, the fact that 3, majority of them were found without a clue, is just kind of a little bit ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
The fact that someone can just go poking around and just grab something that's a massive advantage is just kind of like stupid. Yeah. Like, yeah, you want them to be found, but if you want them to be found, put the clues in the obvious places and not the idols.
Yeah. I think Kez's one was really well hidden as well. Like,
that was really well hidden. No one would have...
The clue was a bit of a giveaway, but look, it made sense.
And clues are clues. It still would have taken at least a tiny bit of brain cell to sort of find.
And it was sort of central. Did she find it no, she found it at the camp. It was still like a central location in the camp, so it had to give a strategy for how to get it out of the area. And of course, we saw her use Flick for that. But
But Simon's was just out in the open.
Simon's was just there, and then Simon's second one was just on top of the reward.
Was it on top of the... No, it wasn't on top of the... It was in the Hessian bag. It was under the reward, right?
Was it... Okay, but it was still in the reward when obviously someone would be looking there. Like,
yeah, it's still
come on.
I mean, and it's actually funny. I think Gerald caught him on the first idol, not the second one.
No, Gerald caught him on the second, not the first.
It was on the second.
Yeah. Okay. Like, he wasn't that sly with that idol. He wasn't that good with it. But, I mean, Gerald doesn't know he has 2 idols.
Yeah, everyone knows... Okay, so a lot of people on Brawn know that he has 1. They don't know that he has 2, which could be interesting. But the fact that he has 2 is just... like, they said it themselves. He's pretty much set till merge now.
Yeah.
Because anytime he's even remotely under the firing line, he can just play one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just safe, right?
And something tells me he's going to be pretty hard to flush an idol from, because he's very central to the Brawn tribe as well.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's going to be easy to flush one of his idols.
Just a quick side note, I just want to quickly mention this. They started doing the thing in confessionals where they put the idols that they have next to their name. Although I think it's kind of goofy because it's just like a PNG of the idol and just looks really dumb.
But yeah, it looks like they went to Google.
It looks so stupid.
They went to Google and went like idol PNG transparent background and just chucked it in.
And then just put it in. Like, because Americans started doing this a couple of seasons ago, I think, but they just sort of said, like, one idol in possession or something. They didn't have stupid-looking PNGs of just idols just there.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's another thing with the editing, I guess. They're making a lot of weird decisions.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll talk about editing a bit later, because that's something I think both of us want to talk about as well. But, look, I think I'm pissed off that both of the idols were found by Simon. But I'm just more pissed off that there were 2 idols in one episode. And there were half an hour between them in the episode.
It might have even been even less than that, because from my memory, it was just basically like 1, 2. Like, he just got them.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude? Like,
it was
seriously?
so fast. It was like, what? It's just so infuriating. Because it's making our Survivor look a bit soft. Like, you said it last week, where we were looking a bit soft, but now it's really getting there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, if we look at the tribals, the first tribal this week, the Brawn one, I don't think that had anything played in it, did it?
No. Benny was going home that episode.
But still, the 2 tribals after that, again, idol or advantage played. So 2 weeks in a row, we've had one quote-unquote vanilla tribal council.
Yeah.
And then, the other 2 in that week have had something played in them. And it's just like, well, what's the point? It's no longer a game of people and, like, the alliances and playing it now if there's just something that can be pulled out almost every tribal.
Yeah. And if
because we see that again. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, because if they keep up the one idol an episode little shtick they've got going on right now, it is going to get very boring very fast. And I said this last week, idol fatigue is going to set in if it keeps going like this. This is just pathetic.
Already setting in. Because it is pathetic, because here's my problem. Again, the third idol, Kara's idol.
That was found without a clue, just randomly.
Found without a clue, just ran. Again, a baller move of just showing it off to everyone.
And then passing it around. I actually liked that, I'm not going to lie. I thought that was really funny.
It didn't really do anything.
It didn't have anything. All the people seemed a bit unfazed by it.
They didn't know that they were going to split, but, like, no matter who played that idol, if they did split, one of the 2 people they voted was going home. Because they only had one idol, right?
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating because we see it happen 2 tribal councils in a row, episodes back to back, where George is saved by a hidden immunity idol. And at that point, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be happening, where someone who's on the outs can just be saved twice in a row.
Yeah.
By 2 hidden immunity idols.
And I think
like
regardless...
in the scope of the game, that's like less than a week. That's like 4 days.
Yeah.
And you just keep scraping by.
I think regardless of that idol being played for George anyway, he wasn't going home because we saw the twist at the end. Well, twist. And I said this in the Survivor Discord server. The one for the subreddit. I said... George is being saved by an idol, or there'll be a twist that saves George. And I think the producers were expecting George to go home that day.
Well, they just kind of pulled out the ¿Por qué no los dos? Like, why not both?
Yeah, just save George with the idol and send Kara to the Brawn tribe. She's not going to fit in well there at all, by the way. I don't think she's going to fit in too well. I think she's the first to go really fast.
The promo sort of set it up, whereas they sort of heralded her as this great addition to their tribe. So I guess we'll see.
I think
she got a little initiation there from what we saw in that end of episode promo. But
there's gonna be a game between the 2 major alliances in that Brawn tribe to earn Kara, because at the moment they're both deadlocked, I think.
See, I don't think Kara is going to be that at danger. For this reason only. The Brawn tribe, we know, is sort of hung between 2 main alliances with a couple swing votes in between. And Kara is now a new swing vote that they have, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll want it gone because each side will want to have that extra number so that they can get done it. So I don't think she's actually at risk at all.
I think it could carry her to merge, maybe. Now that you bring that up. I honestly think it could carry her to merge, being in that precarious swing vote position.
It depends how the votes do play out, because if she somehow ends up on a minority, then she could get stamped out by the other bigger alliance. But at this rate as well, it's a question just how many more tribal councils Brawn will go to before merge anyway as well.
Yeah, because we've seen it was a majority Brains week this week. Last week was majority Brawn.
At least we've had an equal amount of tribal councils on both now.
Yeah, at least the teams are balanced again, because I think they've both got 10?
Actually, no, because...
Oh, wait, no, they wouldn't be.
Brawn would have one more now because Kara can actually go home.
And there's 6 episodes that's aired. One person hasn't gone home.
3 from each, right? So
we have 19 people remaining.
9. Brains would have 9, and Brawn would have 10.
Yeah. Okay, so Brawn has an extra one to add to their massive challenge advantage already.
Yeah.
But I just think... Look, I don't know what production are on this year. Because it's just insane. I'm more pissed off about this than I was about David getting 3 idols last year. Because at least David had to earn those idols.
Yeah, these are just sort of...
being thrown out.
It was just I think the producers genuinely did think, oh shit, George could go home tonight. Let's just pull this out. And then, another idol happened.
Yeah. And I think what do you think would have happened if George went to the Brawn tribe?
Gone. That's genuinely, I think. Even if he was that swing vote that Kara is, I think at least from what they've heard from Joey and seen at challenges, I think they already don't like George. So even if he did come there, I think both alliances at that point in the Brawn tribe would sort of unite to get George gone as soon as they can.
Because I don't think they'd be able to put up with him at all.
Oh, I don't know how anyone could. Because here's the okay, I guess I'll talk about it now.
Okay.
This is what really annoys me, and it's the way George plays the game.
Okay,
and the way he whines.
Yeah.
Because I don't see a better place to bring it up.
Yeah,
the way he whines. After that first tribal council they had on Monday's episode, he just whined. When was it? Who flipped on him?
Way.
What's her name? No. Where was the other one? Haley. When Haley didn't vote with him.
Yeah.
And he was just mad. And he sucked. And he sort of, carried on and on and on about how, you didn't keep your word. And, the point was brought up, isn't that the game that we're playing? It's a game of deception and lies.
Outplay.
Exactly. And he's like, no, it's not that sort of game. And it's like, dude, stop complaining. And he never got over it. And when people tried to bring it up to him about how much of a dickhead he was being, he was like, no, I'm not getting over it. And that's when he sulked off and went to look for idols.
Yeah, right? How about that moment after the challenge? Because after that tribal, he trashed his tribe at the challenge. He was like, we can see who the snakes are in this tribe now, who the heroes and villains are. And then Rachel pulled him up on it. And I do want to talk about something with Rachel a little bit later, because something she's had to go through is kind of disgusting.
It wasn't Haley, it was Rachel.
No, I don't think Rachel.
I meant.
Rachel.
No, Rachel. He was like, Rachel was initially meant to vote with him, and she didn't.
Oh, okay. Maybe Haley was the one that chased after him.
It was Rachel and Haley that didn't. Yeah. That were like, we're the swing votes. Right?
Yeah, but when Rachel pulled him up after the challenge, it was like, hey, look, know there's stuff going on in the tribe, but also maybe it's not the best idea to trash us in front of everyone. Sort of positivity thing. That because you look stupid to the other tribe. Come on, and it just gives them more.
And that's why they.
Yeah, it just gives them more confidence to win. It's just like you look stupid. You're not making any friends by doing that. You're looking like a baby. And it's just not good. And then Rachel pulled him up on it, and he was just like, no, I'm leaving. I don't like this. You're rude. And then ran off.
And that's just thing.
No maturity from him, honestly.
And that's why I'm not enjoying watching him anymore. Initially, he was like, okay, this sort of wild card. He's doing things that are bold, but also kind of interesting and funny to watch. But now he's just sort of carrying on, right?
Yeah.
And whining about all this stuff. And it's like, dude, it's just part of the game. And then he pulls out these things like, I've been under the firing line for 10 years in Bankstown in the Labour Party. It's like, shut up with these like.
That was so stupid. He is objectively the worst player in this game. And the thing I hate about this is that, like, the casual fans of, like, not Survivor fans, but just reality TV show fans in general, they are eating this shit up.
Which is why they're trying to keep him around.
It's just so annoying. Like, look, like, I agree that he's probably the most interesting at the moment for all the wrong reasons. But, like, I agree with that to an extent. But, like, the casual reality fans are eating this shit up. And Channel 10 are just catering to them with George content. And it just infuriates me, because with the amount of producer meddling that has gone into keeping him around, which again is something I want to talk about later, it's just making Australian Survivor, people like him and the moves they are pulling out to keep him around, make Australian Survivor look like a joke in comparison to all of the other versions.
And well, that's the thing, right? But I feel like, it's gone to the point where maybe he's starting to detract from the experience a little.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you said something about, like, he's the most entertaining in the game. And I'll agree, he's very entertaining at times, but it's gone to the point where majority of the time... Yeah, for all the wrong reasons, but entertaining. But still, it's gone to the point where majority of the time he's carrying on about something. And at that point, I feel like it just detracts from the experience, because you've just got this literal child in the game that's just sort of being saved episode after episode. And at this point, I'm just sick of, like, hearing him just whine about all this, like, trust and allegiance stuff. Like, you're playing Survivor. Flipping and blindsiding, that happens. That's how you win. Yeah. You can't really expect to get to the end with solid loyalty or whatever he wants, right?
But he's just going, wow, no, that's against me. No.
And he's also started this whole thing about, like, oh, I hope your conscience is clean tonight. Like, he started doing that. Or, like, I hope you're okay having blood on your hands.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no shit they're going to be. It's Survivor. You've got to be ruthless. You've got to vote people out. There's no conscience in it, right?
Yeah, he should know this if he'd actually watched this show since he was 10 years old.
Yeah, if he has been watching it since he was 10, he would know.
Yeah.
That this is what happens. But it seems
And
it won't get through his head.
That's why I'm so glad to see that Way flipped from him. Initially, his closest ally in the game is now off him. Gone.
And that was a very smart choice. Yeah. And I liked her reasoning as well. She was saying, look, there's no reason I should be indebted to this guy. Like, he can't expect my allegiance forever just because he saved me once.
It's amazing. I'm so happy that Way did that. She's finally actually doing something in this game. Because initially, she's always been a quiet player. But now we're finally seeing her realize, okay, I am in a terrible alliance with this idiot that is going to put me on the chopping block once he's gone. So here, let me course correct my game and move along. And I'm really glad she's done that, because now I think she's going to go further. It's just brilliant. Good on her.
I'm excited to see where she goes, because it seems like it shows that she actually knows. She's got a conscience of what's good and what's not, and what she should be doing, and she knows. And that's I'm just excited to see where she goes now, because
Yeah. Initially, I didn't expect much from her, but now I'm very excited to see Way get on with it, now that she's finally gotten herself out of this George alliance. Which, look, I understand why she entered into it in the first place, but... and the problem is with George, he's still got Baden, for some reason. I don't know why Baden's with him. It makes...
If you've listened to episode 1, you'd know that we already... Actually, no, episode 2, we talked about how Baden really isn't a brain at all.
No. Like, the brains aren't the brains, honestly. It's just... both tribes, not much going on up there for most of them.
No.
I've got especially Brawn, where they misspelt Survivor.
That was hilarious. With
Survivir. It was amazing.
But like, I guess if we're talking about whining, I guess Simon did some whining in that situation where he's like, "Yo, Benny, be like,
okay, I agree
stop
with
being
that.
a dick, right?"
But to be fair, he was.
He was literally holding up like the letters like WDVR or something, right? And he was like, "Dude, let me show them." It's like, what are you showing them? Like, there's not a word there.
Like, Benny just looked... In that challenge, Benny just looked a bit lost. He just seemed like he was a million miles away.
No. Here's what I think. I don't think he was a million miles away. I think everyone... But they always do this, and they edited it to make him look useless, so when then they used the reason that he was useless to vote him off, we go, oh yeah, I see that. But arguably, in that puzzle, Simon was just as dumb. He was so bad. Right? They were all so bad, but they edited it to make it look like it was Benny's fault. When from the beginning, I thought, no, it's not just Benny's fault. They were all just so stupid in that puzzle, but they've just edited it to make it look like it was Benny's fault. So when they go, oh, like, Benny was really bad in this challenge today, so we're voting him out. We go like, oh yeah, he was terrible.
Because we've seen that already. We've seen that a few times with production, especially with Okay, what day was the episode with the ball rolling and then throwing it up? What episode was... It was the episode that...
It was I think it was the third episode.
Monday.
I think it was Tuesday.
No, wait. Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday where George was made to look useless. Or was it Monday?
I feel like it was...
Oh, no. Sorry. Tuesday was the one with the winch. Yeah, it was Monday.
Yeah, Monday. I thought it was Monday. We saw that where... when Brawn were throwing the balls up in one shot, you could see Brains doing the little up and down in the mud pit, but then it cut to George rolling the ball up.
Yeah, that's just like such an obvious...
It was like, I didn't notice it at first until you brought it up, but then I went back and watched it, and I'm like, how did I not see that? Because it's not even they try and crop it out. It's so obviously there.
I know, and it's like, we're meant to think it's a blowout, but it really wasn't as bad as they made it look, right?
No.
Well, they try to make it look like it's a bigger catch-up or whatever.
To be fair to the editors, maybe they were trying to show everything, because in that shot when they cut back to George rolling the ball up, it didn't take long for him to actually get it in, but it still is incredibly misleading.
Yeah, it was really hard to really believe anything anymore, especially when you see them. I guess we can call that a mistake, because I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to sort of see that, but when you see mistakes like that, it sort of
cheapens
reveals reveals the secret between the magician's trick, right? And now I don't feel like I can really trust anything with the production of this season.
Yeah, I was wondering if Channel 10 would go back and retcon that on 10 Play, but I don't think they're going to be bothered. Because, again, the casual fans aren't going to care. That's all they're catering to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the editing has just been a bit weird this season already. Look, it's slightly better than All-Stars. All-Stars is a train wreck on editing. I'd say it was a bit better than All-Stars. But they're just making such obvious mistakes and not even trying to hide those mistakes.
Well, I don't know. I have this problem with the editing, is that it becomes immediately apparent either who's going home or who's on the chopping block from the very start of the episode, because you'll see someone get lots of screen time out of nowhere. Like Benny, all first week, 0 screen time at all. I think I heard him speak like 3 words total.
And then all of a sudden, played on
at the start of Sunday's episode, he gets his intro, he gets all these confessionals. At that point, you're like, he's just going home at this point.
Yeah. They aren't very good at hiding that, but I think they're a lot better at spreading the screen time out a little more this season amongst the players. I think they're a little better at that this season, but that is completely counterbalanced by the fact they are doing such obviously terrible editing, like tricks, I don't know, to build suspense. But
it's not really building suspense, and just sort of trying to make us care about that play before they go home is just sort of like, come on, man. Although, like, I feel like Mitch kind of did get sniped. He didn't really get a lot of airtime that episode, and then all of a sudden was just gone. But
I was
he had
wondering where Mitch's name even came from that episode. It was like
Joey was
it just like came out of nowhere, and Mitch never suspected it.
Yeah,
I thought that was impressive because Mitch was too busy with his hard on against Sharon for some reason. Wait, no, sorry, Sharon's in Brawn, isn't she? Yeah. Someone's got a hard on against Sharon.
Shannon.
Shannon.
Yeah, no, that's Simon and Emmett that have
never mind. My bad. So, they're gunning for Shannon. I can't tell, but it's given her such a great way to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
She's one I'm very excited to watch, actually, because she is leading that girls' alliance. Her and Flick. I think it's more Flick than Shannon. But Shannon's doing very well. But the editing, this has just not been it. It's just weird.
Yeah. Or sometimes it's... look, yeah, my main issue with the editing was that one flub and just sort of the highlighting the person going home.
Yeah.
I was initially misled on Tuesday's episode because I thought Joey was on the chopping block because of his sudden airtime out of nowhere.
You did say that,
but it just turned out they just sort of painted. It just sort of painted now the Joey in charge picture, and that's, I think, really all it was. Yeah. But the person who did go home, Kara, she did get a lot of screen time.
Kara, yeah, I don't know,
because she all of a sudden started saying all these things about George in confessionals. But I thought that was just because she, then got the idol for him. But no, she got voted out.
I don't understand why people keep backing George. Kara was never a George backer before that episode.
Well, okay, so she had voted with him in the past.
But she was never that close with him.
Well, George said in a confessional that at least she was the closest person, she was the person he was closest with. And I thought that would have just been a classic situation where, he thinks they're closer than they really are. But I don't think that actually was the case. Because she was strangely loyal to him. And she said some things like, oh yeah, like George and I fit each other, like I'm like the calm to his storm or whatever cringe stuff she said like that.
Yeah, but of course we saw Kara go off to Brawn. I think they were expecting George to go off that episode. But, yeah, I don't know. What do we think of that twist? Regardless of who it was going to?
I think it was bound to happen. Australian Survivor always does this twist. I think it happened with Daisy a little while ago. I'm not too sure on that one, actually. But it's
knew
interesting.
It was coming.
It's kind of a way to do a swap without actually swapping. Although that kind of makes it a little unfair. Actually, I don't know how good Kara is at the puzzles, but Brawns have been notoriously terrible at the puzzles, except for that last one on Tuesday. But, is Kara going to help them a lot there? If it does, that makes it even more fair, because then now Brains really have nothing up against Brawn, which is like, bruh.
Yeah, I don't think either of them have anything up against anybody. I think the Brawn has the physicality, and that's it. And that's what all of the challenges this week were very slanted to as well.
Well, yeah, okay. So Brain won that first one just because Brawn was terrible with that word.
Yeah.
Because Brain, I think, was second to that anyway, but they still overtook. But we see it again. Brain hasn't won a reward yet.
No, they haven't. It's so funny.
They're none from 6, and at this point, it's like, throw them a bone. If you're already meddling this much in the game, throw the Brains trap. Because this is what I was discussing with someone about, I think it was Monday's episode, where... What was the challenge again for immunity? No, that was the throwing one. No, never mind. It was Tuesday's episode with the winch.
Yeah.
No, what was it? Monday's.
Are you talking about a reward or an immunity?
It was an immunity, and it was an immunity that seemed very physical and geared towards the Brawn tribe, as if to throw them a bone so that they wouldn't go.
I think that was
tribal
Mondays.
Again.
I think that was definitely Mondays.
Yeah, and it was like, ooh. And if they're kind of doing that look, we don't know for sure if they're doing that, but it kind of seems like they are. And if they are doing that for the Brawn tribe to sort of save them from tribal council, another week, just do that for the brains for reward or something, because they kind of need one at this point.
Yeah. I was expecting them to try and bring the tribes a bit more in balance. I was definitely expecting that. But still, stop production. Let the game play out. Because I think it was too early. I just think that twist with Kara was too early. Yeah?
What about the twist with Joey going to Brawn's for that one reward, though?
I didn't mind that. I thought it was fine. Because, again, it doesn't really have any weight on the game, I guess. It gives Brawn a little insight into brains and gives Joey that opportunity to form with the Brawn a little more. But
I think they did like him, so if they do swap or merge, I think Joey's in a good position, at least with all the Brawns, because he did come off as very likeable to them, and at least from the confessionals we saw, they seemed to like him a lot.
I just wish they gave more time to that. I want to know what Joey talked about. We just got like, oh yeah, George is good. Alright, then they cut back to the brain camp.
Well, I had a little bit of a gripe with it. And that's especially Flick, but even some of the others were saying like, oh, now we have a massive advantage over the Brains tribe because we have all this information. How does that help them at all?
It doesn't.
Him just saying, oh yeah, George had an idol and everyone hates him. How does that help them at all in challenges or if they swap a merge? That doesn't help anyone at all. It's not like they have a massive advantage to like stamp out the Brains, or Flick said something along the lines of that. It doesn't give them anything.
Yeah, they did
so why are they playing it up as if like he like spilled all the secrets, now the Brains are screwed because Joey couldn't keep his mouth shut? Like, what?
That was very glorified. I did think that. I thought it was like, ooh, okay. Because they're like, this is the death of the Brains tribe. But it's like, no, you just know that George is a pain in the ass and everything's a little fractured there. Like, how's that going to help in challenges? How's that going to help in tribals? Like, what's it going to do? Like, I didn't mind the reward itself. I didn't mind the twist of bringing Joey along. But I think they've got a gold mine from that. And it's just like... But I still think the reward twist was good. It doesn't have any actual weight on the game, despite what some of them think. It doesn't have any actual...
No matter how hard they try to tell us it does, it's like they're dangling it in front of us and like, wow, look at this! Complicated gameplay! They're all doing really big moves, like spy shit! And it's like, no it's not! Like, shut up!
Are production trying to throw in actual strategy into this season? Because this season has had no strategy. Where's the strategy been? I haven't seen very much. I've seen Big D... the only strategy we've seen is swing votes. And that's it. And idols, but they keep getting thrown to them. I wouldn't call that strategy.
Okay, how's this, though? Because you brought up Big D.
Yeah.
What did we think about the longevity of Big D? Because he's, like, flipped, like, so many times now.
Yeah.
And people trust him.
Ooh, I honestly think Big D is in a good position because he's in a position where he's needed by both alliances, but also
but does the addition of Kara throw that off, and now Big D becomes the unreliable one?
Yeah,
is he in danger now?
That's why I think both of the alliances are going to try and make their play for Kara. Because both alliances know they have this one person who has flipped between both of them. Like what, was it Janine or Sean that just kept flipping with no regard to anything?
I'm pretty sure that was Sean.
Yeah. Like and they're both going to be keen to get rid of him eventually. And now with Kara, I think we're going to see him change a little bit. But also, I still think he's a really good challenge asset. There's still 19 people.
He is a really good challenge asset. However, the thing is with Kara is I think whichever alliance nabs her is going to get loyalty out of her. Because she's just moved into a tribe where she knows no one. And I don't think she's going to be too keen to sort of break out of her shell and make sort of the bold sort of flip plays that Big D has been doing. So, whereas, Danny has been shown to be unreliable. No one can rely on getting his vote, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Kara's vote will be reliable just because of that sort of dependency on someone, because she hasn't been with all those people from the start.
Yeah.
So I think he's in a really bad position now.
I can see that. I think it's interesting because he was one of my people to watch from last week, but now this edition of Kara as a swing vote that the alliance is going to compete for is a bit interesting. But do you think Big D is going to see that this new edition is going to threaten his dominance as a swing vote, and then he's going to have to pick a side eventually?
No.
You don't think he'll pick a side?
I don't think he has that in him. Because at the moment, it doesn't seem like he's swinging strategically. It seems like he's just swinging for the sake of swinging.
He's just trying to suits him that night.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that. I think he's just deliberately trying to be chaotic for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to be sustainable in the long run, especially if it doesn't help him.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, because again, he was one of my players that I was watching pretty keenly. But I guess you've brought up a really good point in that his dominance as a swing vote is now practically useless because they have loyalty from Kara and none of it from Big D.
Well, it's not useless at the... actually, no, it kind of is. It really depends, right? Because now they're back to an even number of people on the Brawn tribe. They've got 10 now. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess this is how it sort of falls into place. If the main alliance of sort of what is it? Flick, Kez, Gerald. Who else is in that sort of main alliance? Not Benny anymore, that's for sure. Shannon. Is that it? Big D question mark. If they get Kara, then they're looking set, right?
Yeah.
They've got at least 5 they can rely on, and then Big D will do whatever he does, you know. If he does decide to flip, I guess they can decide what to do in a revote if they get a tied, thing. And then the other side, we've got the set Simon, Emmett, Chelsea, Danny. So again, Kara could make that 5. So I really think whoever does get Kara is sort of at the advantage, because especially if Big D continues to be unpredictable, then at least having that 5th with the possibly 6th of him, that's going to help. But that just reminded me of something that I do want to... The revote on Sunday, what do you think about majority of that main alliance flipping on their initial vote of Simon to Benny? Because the only people that remained with their Simon vote, I'm pretty sure, was Flick and Gerald, I'm pretty sure.
I wasn't surprised. Shannon was already considering flipping from
Shannon
Simon to
flipped
Benny.
her vote in the revote, and Kez flipped her vote in the revote.
I really wasn't surprised. It always sort of felt like that was going to happen. It always felt like that was going to happen. I'm not surprised.
But it just feels dumb because they're willingly... Okay, like... Here's what I think. I don't think it was done in concern of Rox, right? I think it was just done because people were annoyed at him for the challenge, or I don't know what it was.
What actually is the tiebreaker this season? Sorry. Is it discussion then to Rox if there's not a unanimous discussion?
I'm pretty sure that's what happens until the near end where there is.
Where it becomes fire making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's final 5 or something. It becomes fire making. I'm not too sure on the specifics of it.
I want to see a Rox draw this season. I think that'd be a bit fun. We haven't seen too
many
of them in Australian Survivor.
That'd be a little funky, man. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
And even then, I think we could both tell it probably is going to be pretty heavily manufactured if they do it. They'll find a way. They'll find a way to pull that rubbish.
The reason why I don't think it might happen is because I don't know. It's just the fact that we didn't really hear the reasons behind them flipping their vote in the revote. but I'm willing to bet it wasn't because of what Rock's worries.
I doubt any of them were smart enough to consider rocks.
I mean, I think maybe it was in the back of their mind. Probably Simon. Simon seems to be sort of, a fan. I think he said he was a fan. So I think it sort of was in the back of his mind, but I don't think he was in the position to budge.
Yeah.
Because he was under the firing block. So he didn't revote anyway.
Yeah. I'm not surprised it went to Benny's way, because there was already, in his alliance, there was already very much concern over keeping Benny around, and I think they were considering that before the tribal a good while, and they had their little discussion before as they were walking in to put their torches down, they had that discussion as well, before they all sat down. They was like, what are we doing? And do we want to change? So I wasn't surprised to see it. I'm not adverse. I think Benny was definitely the good one to go, honestly.
I just don't think Benny was that bad. And while yes, Simon does carry them in challenges, now he's got 2 idols. If he was quelled at that opportunity, he had, he was gone. But now he's got so much power because of those 2 idols. I feel like the opportunity was a little lost.
He didn't have those idols on Sunday, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And now he does. I don't think they'll get an opportunity like that to get rid of Simon ever again.
Okay.
Yeah, so look, they probably are not going to have a chance. And he's undoubtedly someone that needs to go at the end. Because especially if he gets power at merge, he is going to be dangerous, right? And it's the question of, is it too early to get rid of the dangerous players if they are, very useful in challenges, which he is.
Yeah, but do you think he'll hold on to his idols before merge? Because I think they might try and go after him. I don't think he'll have both of those idols by merge.
I don't think he'll have both. I'm fairly confident he'll have one, though. Because the point is they only know he has... Right? So they'll probably try to flush that or, force his hand or something like that. They don't have the numbers to split, so if they do place votes on him and he plays one and negates all the votes and gets someone from the main alliance out, then he has the numbers and doesn't need to play his other one. So I think the way things are falling together, there's a high chance that he'll have at least one of them by merge.
Do we think he'll voluntarily reveal his idol?
He's too smart to do that. George is just reckless, right?
Yeah. George's game, I've said this before, a train wreck that isn't stopping. It's just a train wreck.
Just keep screeching.
He's got no strategy to him. He's just like, oh, I'm going to do this. That's it.
That was the other strange thing. Him all of a sudden going, I'm not going home now, and then crying to when Kara saved him. Yeah. What was that all about?
That was such a weird emotional moment, because I was like, wait, what's going on? And then he just started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not going to bash him for that, but interesting. I just thought it was weird. Honestly, I thought it was interesting.
It probably was fair enough for him to say no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ignoring the fact that he wouldn't have gone home anyway, I think it was fairly smart, his thoughts that, look, I don't have much longevity left anyway, just save yourself, don't save me. That seems to make more sense. Because, he's gone the next chance they have, right? Unless he has something else. So I guess I think we've talked enough about what's happened. Let's move into predictions for next week. Will something else save George?
Yes, absolutely.
What's it gonna be?
I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw George get to final tribal council and have no votes from the jury. At this point, it feels like it's just gonna happen.
It can't happen. The only reason
I guess they can't really meddle too much at Final 5. They can't meddle too much post-Final 5.
No. And if he gets that far, then hell yeah, he's staying, because then at the point people are thinking final tribal council game, anyone who goes up against George is winning. Even this early I'm calling that, right? There's nothing he can do.
But, if he does get to final tribal council, are people gonna think he played a good game?
Hell no!
I'd hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had, like, oh, he played such a reckless, such a ballsy, such an ambitious, bold game, and he's here, he's stayed. But the only reason he's there is because of production.
The only people who could think that, though, realistically, in my mind, are the Brawn's tribe. Because all the brains have seen him whine and carry on. And even if he does sell that he's played a good game, all the whining and carrying on about people not being loyal to him is just a glaring issue in his game, right? And that would instantly put at least me off voting him, right?
Yeah. I just think... I don't know, because it feels like at this point, production are going to do whatever they can to get him to Final 5 or to get him to Final Tribal Council.
Okay, but...
And it is so annoying.
What's going to save him next week? There are 3 things that could save him next week. 3 brain immunity wins, which I don't see happening.
Nah.
Another idol, at which point I'd just be pissed off. You can't save him with an idol 3 times.
But I think if they have to, they're going to.
Well, are they going to do advantage? Are they going to do... What are they going to do?
Okay, look, if I've said 6 idols, 6 episodes, but of course one of them was an advantage. But I think we're going to see most advantages are going to act as idols when they land in the hands of George.
They can't do this again. Now, just thinking about it, George hasn't been to a single tribal council where he's been at risk. The first one Brains were at, he had the advantage. The second one, he had his own idol. The third one, he had Kara's idol. Every single vote that could have been cast against him, gone. In every single tribal council he's been to. They can't keep doing that.
But also, at this point, 6 idols, 6 episodes, the traditional Survivor format for idols is 1 idol per camp. We've seen them go way beyond that.
Well, okay, so Simon has 2. I guess 1 that can be found in camp plus ones at reward or challenges or whatever, maybe? So there is going to be another idol at the Brains camp. I swear to God, if it lands in the hands of Baden or George... Is Baden going to stick with George, or are we going to see new alliances form as well? Another prediction that could be...
I think Baden's going to see 4...
There's 2 of them now. It's 2 versus 7.
Is Baden going to jump ship? Because
jumps ship. What happens then? They all jump on George. Yeah. Then what? That alliance has then got to shatter.
Then they jump on Baden,
right?
I think the relationship between Baden and George just confuses me so much, because Baden started out as a George hater, but now he's I'll work with him. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. And I don't understand it.
I know. It's just like... But, like, what happens at this point? What's his game plan? Like, even if... Like, the only way he wins is if he does get saved and keeps picking people up. But if he does get saved, they've got even more numbers to split the vote now, right? Because unless someone flips to his side, which I don't see why they do that, then, they've got, 7 votes on 2 people. Even if they go 4-3... one of them plays an idol. They don't even need to go to a revote because they've only got 2 people in that alliance, which is George and Baden. So what do they do? Something has to switch up at the Brains tribe.
But what are we going to see switch up at the Brains tribe? The only time I think we're going to see something switch up is getting rid of George. Gone. He's actually gone, however unlikely that is. But until then, it's always going to be entire tribe versus George plus whatever ally or 2 he's able to find for that week.
Okay, well, I don't know if Baden is smart enough to jump ship, but if he has anything inside that brain of his, he would. And at that point, then it becomes everyone versus George. But then after that, something has to happen. Because you can't have an 8-person alliance aiming at no one. And we don't know how many tribals Brains are going to go to, but I think if they go to more than one, we're going to have to see something change. Because if they go... The first one they go to will probably be everyone versus George again, rematch, third time in a row, right? But what happens after that if they have a second tribal next?
Well, let's assuming in the first tribal, George doesn't have something thrown at him.
But what could they possibly throw at him?
Idols.
That's what I'm saying. If they throw another idol at him, he's not safe. Or he could be safe, but then his alliance just goes down to just George, right?
Mm.
At that point, what happens?
But then, what else do they do? I don't know. I think it's so hard to tell with this game because there is no. This game isn't. The game just doesn't feel natural.
Watch him get like a super idol or something.
Oh, God no! If they give him a super idol, I'm going to lose my shit. Imagine
has
like
Australian had super idols ever?
They apparently did, but they don't function as regular super idols. The one super idol I know of in season 2, because someone mentioned it to me, was just an idol that considered someone else's idol invalid.
Yeah, it's not a super. I'm talking
so that's not what a super idol
American
is. Yeah, the actual idol. Play it after the votes have read. Yeah, I'd like to think they're not going to go that far, but at this point, I don't know. They probably will. Because at this point, Australian Survivor is a laughingstock of the world of Survivor. At this point, I don't think the producers give a shit. As long as they get their promos and their viewers, they don't care. Like, this version of Survivor is such a laughingstock compared to the American and the South African. And I think those are the only two running at the moment. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But, we're just a laughingstock. We're a joke. This show is a joke at this point, compared to the rest of Survivor in the world. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they just started chucking him idols. I wouldn't be surprised if he just woke up one morning and found 7 idols just around his neck. At this point, it could happen. But it's just so hard to call predictions now, because it's not natural. It's not about player thought. It's just about people being the most promotable. But one thing I do want to mention real quick is I hope that the Brains tribe sort of looks at what's happened with George and goes, okay, we need to start looking for idols more. Because at this point, it's really only been George and like a select couple others and Baden when he's had a clue. They need to look for idols.
They do.
A little more. So at least like it's harder for production to just plant them for George. Like, I think the Brawn tribe has not done it either, but they also haven't had one specific person.
Look, if they want George to go out with a bang, here's how I reckon they do it. Throw him another idol, right? But here's the kicker. Throw Joey an idol nullifier. Bang. Lots of drama. Just gone. We're done, right?
Please. That would be... And then send him to exile.
Yeah, because we'll just bring that back just for George.
Yeah. Send him to exile. Send him to the Brawn tribe. Do something.
Just anything, but send him home. Send him back to...
Yeah.
Send him to the Liberal Party.
They'll do it. They'll do it. They'll probably do it, honestly. This game has no integrity at this point. I'm so pissed off at this game. I'm going to keep watching it. I've heard a lot of people say they're not going to watch it anymore.
I'm annoyed, but of course we're going to keep watching. Other than that...
Because I love Survivor, but I guess it's so hard to predict. It's so hard to call anything. Yeah. Was there any changes to your players that you wanted to have a look at before we end it off? Because I think I've got one that I want to change on mine.
Look, I think Joey, now that he's in the limelight, he's looking strong on the Brains tribe. He's got a lot of charm. He could be dangerous. Don't know how gameplay well he is, because they really haven't do anything too complicated gameplay wise. But at least his charm and personality could be potentially dangerous, so I want to keep a good eye on him. Yeah. Also Wei as well. Wei's shaping up to be crafty.
Yeah. Wei, I'm so glad she flipped from George.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad she's finally doing something for herself. And I'd like to see her advance further in this game. I don't think she's going to get that far. I'd be surprised, but pleasantly surprised if she got to merge. But I guess we'll see. I guess the one thing I just wanted to change about my predictions is Big D is a lot more rocky than I think he was before.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a nice little power couple, Shonny Fenella-like power couple in Flick and Shannon.
Yeah, I was thinking initially it would have been Flick and Kez last week, but Kez just did nothing this week.
Yeah.
She had her one idol thing and then just straight out of there.
I feel like they sort of have like the girls' club, similar to how we had Simon, Emmett, and what was the other dude's name? It's already
Gavin.
I forgot. Gavin. That's it. The footy player.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna, and how Gavin was sort of always on like the outs of that group a little bit. Like he was the first line of defense for a vote. I think we're gonna see Shannon, Flick, and Kez, but Kez is the Gavin in this situation.
Yeah, she had her
but I still think a power couple little thing between Flick and Shannon is looking the most likely at the moment. They're a bit different to what we said last week with Flick and Kez, but I guess we'll see what happens, because again, it's so hard to call at this point.
Still early.
That I guess we have to wait and see.
But
I guess just one more thing. Did you have any more predictions?
I'll let you say your last thing and then we'll wrap it up.
This is sort of a general just comment, because Rachel this week, if you've had a look at her Instagram or anything, she's gotten some pretty disgusting messages from a lot of people.
Really?
Blatantly disrespectful messages. Because of how she's voted in Survivor.
What, against George?
Game. Yeah. People have called her slurs, just blatantly disgusting things. And it is just so not okay. And if you're someone who is going to get so worked up that you're going to send death threats to somebody because they tried to vote against the most prickish player in Survivor, stop watching the show. Stop going outside at that point. Because, if you go to her Instagram, I'm not going to read them out, but what she has had sent to her is blatantly disgusting and blatantly rude. Yeah. So I just wanted to sort of mention that a bit. Because if you're really going to get that work, you can criticize someone for their game. But when you, start blatantly going in and calling someone slurs and personally insulting them and wishing actual death upon them...
Yeah, at that point it's like...
You cross a pretty heavy line there. A line that should never be crossed, and I feel really bad for Rachel for having to go through that. And I hope that some of those people realise that they're complete and utter shitheads and work themselves out. If you want to read the messages, you can go to our Instagram, but they're really terrible, and I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, well, I guess on that, we'll wrap it up for this week.
I guess
we're either at an hour or nearing an hour.
We're at an hour.
So hopefully a little better, a little shorter than last week. So more of you have stuck around. If you have stuck around for the whole hour, thank you again for listening. We love anyone that actually wants to listen to this stuff.
Thank you.
If you want to get in contact, again, follow the Twitter at Evan and Freddie, or email us at mail@evanandfreddy.com. You can
all of our links and stuff are on evanandfreddy.com, so head over there, including our Patreon and all our podcasting links. So give that a look.
And how do we like the new microphone? Better than the terrible AirPods audio.
Evan has secured a new microphone, thankfully, so hopefully the complaints about the audio that we got last time are a little less this time.
It's not perfect, but getting better.
No. God, neither is mine. Mine's terrible. But it's here to stay, hopefully.
Oh, it's here to stay.
We hope everyone has enjoyed this episode. We will see you next Saturday, even though this is going out pretty late Saturday, with more Australian Survivor analysis.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for listening.